Hello, everybody. Welcome to Project Generation. And now there's some people who I thought had been in Stanmore Schule for years. I don't want to call anyone furniture to their face, but almost part of the furniture. The Busses, I thought had been here for like decades and decades. Apparently not. So here's our window of opportunity. Welcome, David. It's lovely to have you here. You got to first explain that background.
Well, the background here is very much part of my present life. It was a KLBD visit to India, to a trade fair there. And this was part of a trip that I took in southern India, in Kerala. And this is indeed a tea plantation at the back of me. And being as we're all in green credentials these days, I thought I'd make an ideal backdrop.
All right, fascinating. My background is neither green nor Indian. But I bet we can find some connection. Right now, David, go on, tell me about where was life before Stanmore?
Well, yes, I am the son of German refugees, my mother from Cologne and my father from Berlin. My parents moved from West Hampstead in 1950 to Kenton. And I lived there till Wendy and I moved to Stanmore in 2015,
wow.
After my daughter's then wedding. And we moved to my father's flat, who had lived here until he passed away in 2006. We moved here in 2015 because it was a large, spacious flat near to the shops, near to the tube, and most importantly, down the road to the Schule.
All right. Okay, great. So then what were your impressions of Stanmore having kind of joined and then since? Have the expectations been met? You can say anything you want, really. You know,
first impressions. I remember the first just during the Salikas, because we joined in August, and just in the Salikas period before Rosh Hashanah, I was approached by a very quietly spoken gentleman who said, "Would you like to come to Fabrin?" And what he meant was he was inviting us indeed, to a Fabring. And a Fabringen, in case people want to know, is like a get-together, a party, a big kiddush, if you like, which he held on Shemini Atzeres. And it was, in fact, Mendy Sudak. That immediately made me feel wise. He asked me, and it was a wonderful indicator of how sociable many people are in Stanmore. And indeed, we've made many friends here. And it's been a lovely continuity to our many years, 40 plus years of Schule going in Kenton.
Oh, amazing. Okay, great. Let's just explore the KLBD theme. Now, I understand that you and KLBD are well, a second wife, but you know, very much intertwined. Do you want to explain what do you do? I remember you've given a fascinating talk about KLBD and how it works.
Well, my background was one of a mechanical engineer when I started life. In fact, I'm just about, it should come a bit later, I'm just about to complete my own personal memoirs, which I title myself as From Engineering Workshops to Being a Kosher King. That's a little overly imposed title, but KLBD actually now, next year, I will have been there for 10 years, and I used my knowledge of the food industry, manufacturing, and the stainless steel world, if you call it that, food processing, of which I was the ideal candidate to sell certifications for KLBD for their many ingredients and raw materials around the world.
Okay, you must have some hilarious stories then. I mean, how to explain kosher? First, look, I have problems sometimes explaining kosher to Jews, right? You know, how do you explain kosher to...
one of the most interesting facets, which you may have heard in my previous talk, is when you try and explain kosher, especially to the sub-Indian continent, and you're talking to somebody and you say, I'd like to talk to you about kosher. And he says kosher. And then I say kosher. And by the time we've exchanged the word kosher by about a dozen times, in the end, I said to him, kosher. And he says, kosher. And then I say to him, do you understand what is kosher? And then he repeats the word kosher, kosher. I said, do you know what it means? And he says, no.
John Cleese couldn't have written it better, hey?
But you know, that's a typical encounter that I have. And perhaps my language and yes, my mimicry skills enable me a special level of ability to be able to communicate with different nations and different peoples.
Right. Gosh, wow. Okay. So how does it normally work? You go to a factory? I mean, I assume there's...
No, I'm not on the factory. This is the look, we don't want to get too bound up with KLBD, but basically the ingredient side is the big side of KLBD's contribution to kashrut, and indeed revenues to United Synagogue, and it really is a very important part. Of course, all the stuff we buy in Kosher Kingdom and Waitrose is very important, but it is the materials, the spices, the herbs, the raw materials, the chemicals, and they are the real backbone of what kashrut actually and KLBD is all about.
Yeah, amazing, fantastic. Okay, great. So you don't have any favorite stories? One moment.
I thought actually people might be more interested a little bit in my connection with Stanmore, because what I want to say is that one of the first things that became apparent was that there were a few, and now even more, with our dear friends Marion and Harry Littman and other people who've moved into the area from Kenton, including I've forgotten his name, but including several other couples who've recently moved in over the last 2 or 3 years, because Kenton, which I will wave its flag quite vigorously, was where a lot of people, including me, cut their teeth on their early Yiddishkeit to learn about stuff with the aid of people like Rabbi Jeffrey Shesler.
Right.
And Rabbi Cohen, of course, for his fame and past history here in Stanmore, of course, is much respected and knowledgeable. Academically quite high in some of his language, and I always struggled a little bit with some of it, but he's a great guy, him and Gloria, and I'm glad that he was successful in Stanmore. So I think the Kenton experience very much grounded me as somebody who came really from, you have to read my memoirs to find out about it, but really came from absolutely nothing. My level of Yiddishkeit was at ground zero when we got married, and I feel now as though, with a fine family living nearby. We have 3 children and grandchildren living in Edgware, Borehamwood and Mill Hill, which is very nice. They're all local, and that is wonderful. And one of the reasons that this is an interesting exercise is because the late, much mourned Rabbi Sachs once said that those who remind themselves and write about their past, are indeed carrying out a task of their children's future history. So that's one of the reasons, because most of our youngsters today seem very incurious about the past and are really only interested in things like Zoom and iPhones.
The irony being we are having an interview on Zoom now, which people
it is ironic, yeah.
On our phones.
But we've just celebrated last year, luckily before this dreadful virus business, we had a wonderful golden wedding celebration. Wendy and I have been very happy, had our ups and downs, of course, over the years, but we've been very happy. And in that respect, I think that Stanmore continues the role of where we left off in Kenton, a very fine, warm community, wonderful services, beautiful cousin, and excellent rabbinic talks by all of the rabbis there. And we're very grateful to be part of the community now, and feel as though we're part of the family.
Amazing, fantastic. I mean, it's lovely also, we know the extended family, well, extended downwards, certainly. Grandchildren, kids. I mean, I guess if you had a message for the community or something that you feel embodies the community.
It's interesting you say that, because one of the first things I did was to import my brand of humor into the show.
We've noticed
and since over the last few years, I recognize the phrase that everybody says, oh, everybody's a comedian. And that is wonderful, because I find now that people come up to you, they smile, they make a joke and the rest of it. And as you and other people I know, I'm something of a mimic and a comedy performer. I've been blessed. We've been able to do all different types of accents, and things like this. I can sound like a Jurgen Klopp to talk about the football, or I can sound like an Israeli tourist advisor, that when you go to Israel and you're waiting at a bus stop and you're complaining, he will say to you, if you don't like it, you don't have to come. See, so these sort of things, and what I do, and impersonations of Peter Cook, Dudley Moore, Jackie Mason, and the rest of them, have been a real joy. And I bought a few shows to Stanmore and raised a few pounds for charity, as well as the famous modem board in the show.
That way.
that way for you. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I'm quite proud of that. But no, it's been a wonderful transition, and really we're very happy. We love nothing more than just hopping across the road, getting on the tube and going up to town to museums and walking by the Thames and stuff like that, and enjoying the company of not only our wonderful friends that we still have some in Kenton, but also here in Stanmore, new friends and new acquaintances, which has really been marvelous for us.
Beautiful. Okay, great. I think, well,
besides that, Stanmore is very lucky to have all the greenery around it that we do have, such as Bentley Priory, Cannons Park, and of course the Stanmore Country Park. So at times, you know, even with the busy London road, it very much feels like a community within a lot of greenery, and I hope it stays that way as well, without too many other blocks of flats being built and all the rest of it.
I guess let's see.
We love all the services, the chagim, the kiddushim, the social events that go on in Stanmore, the nice suppers and things that have gone on. It's unfortunate the last one that we had was on Purim, just before this dreadful pandemic, and I remember that we had a bingo evening, and I even, for my part, had a go at calling out some of the bingo numbers, everybody's mirth and amusement. So it's been fun, and I think there's a great deal of smiling that goes on, and I like the idea that everybody is a comedian, because actually it's one of my pet subjects. I think we should perhaps think about putting on more comedy if we can ensure when things return to normal.
Yeah, a smile can do no harm. I think if there's one thing we've probably missed over the last few months, it's dare I say, the ability to smile. You know, hopefully when the world, I don't know. Look, if Hashem has a sense of humor, he'll take the virus away before the vaccines even arrive, you know. But, you know, I think we can do a lot of smiling. I think it's a good thing. It's a wonderful thing. And I see we're just coming towards the end. We've probably got about a minute left, David.
Okay.
So, I mean, any other messages? I know you talked about Kenton, you talked about Stanmore. You know, in terms, you must also have thoughts about the longevity of a community. You know, Kenton had a wonderful, wonderful period.
Kenton it's sad to see a little bit that Kenton is getting into its little bit of a sleepy phase now, with less members, of course, and the rest of it. And I hope it does continue, because as much as the boy went out of Kenton, you can never take Kenton out of the boy, in my particular case.
So if I could ask, in a sentence, what do you think guarantees, if one can, the longevity of a community? What would you advise? A community comes to you, how do we make sure our community survives, you know, lives on, so to speak? What would you tell them?
Well, I think Stanmore does it already, and that is to provide a very mixed range of activity, of lectures, of social stuff, as well as the services. We're very blessed to have Johnny Turgle, a world-class Chazan, who absolutely adds to the joy and the wonder, because the tunes and the melodies, I think, are what helps keep our service traditions together. And that's one of the things that I missed during the pandemic, when they said, oh, we can't sing, you know, we can't even sing a down along at the end of Kol Nidre or whatever it is. And so I hope that all those traditional values do get maintained, but obviously we'll all have to get ready for some changes in the future. How many of us, please God, we should all survive. It's also worth mentioning that we lost many dear friends in Stanmore during this dreadful time. And that reminds you that it's so important that we do all stick together, attend social events, attend your wonderful lectures where you hold them, and try and enjoy ourselves.
Amazing. David, thank you so much.
As in the Gemara, those who have the ability to make others laugh will surely have the first place in Olam Haba.
Fantastic. Very good. Perfect. All right. This is normally where I say you've been watching Project Generation. So thank you very much, David, for joining us, and we look forward to another edition. Thank you very much.
And thank you for your time, and I hope everybody enjoys all of the lectures in this wonderful inspired initiative.
Thank you.